Hey guys, after another long freaking hiatus, Rain is finally back, and I've obviously been looking forward to Rain. Though now that Game of Thrones is back on, it's not, I don't look forward to it as much because I'm more like, wanting Game of Thrones to be on again. I'm more wanting it to be Sunday than Thursday, but I still am looking forward to I'm still looking forward to these last 5 episodes. And before I get into the actual review, I would say this episode it was, it was okay. I mean, there's some things happened that I did like, and there's some things that I'm worried about, but in the promo, I was like, okay, I was happy again, and so yeah. So, it was an okay episode. So yeah, there are a lot of different storylines this episode. I'm gonna start with this storylines that really don't matter this episode, that were kind of First of all, Greer and Leif, they're still hooking up, and yeah, I honestly, I don't give a crap about their relationship. I don't care if most of the couples in this show I really could care less about. I don't care about any of their relationships, for the most part, except for a certain relationship and romantic relationship. There are other relationships I do like. But anyways, so Greer and Leith is trying to get an annulment for him and for Greer, and Greer's like she's pretty happy where she's at. She's like, she knows she can't really marry Leith, but she's still happy with what she's got at the moment. So I'm like, yeah, like stop pressing for it, Leith. So yeah, and basically, Leith goes to Catherine. He's still trying to get an annulment, and then what do you know? Catherine doesn't want Claude to find out about Francis's illness, so he makes Leith take Claude out into town and keep her distracted all day, and so yeah, that's really it. And then of course, basically, we see their little outabouts through the episode. Really, these scenes don't matter. I mean, Claude just kind of makes a fool of herself at the party, and then that's it. She comes back to the castle, and she finds out that Francis was ill, and Kenna accidentally told her, well, Kenna thought she knew about Francis's illness, so it's really not her fault. And then, then Claude's like, people are, my family's always trying to cover up, I don't know how to say it. They're always trying to keep her out of things so she doesn't make it worse. And then Leith asks her a deep question. It's like, why do you think they do that? So yeah, that's really it. And also, I do have one thing to comment on briefly. It's just a nitpick. The driver, when Greer was sneaking out of the carriage, to go fool around out in town by herself without Leith, um, the driver called her Majesty, and first of all, she's a princess. Just because you're royalty doesn't mean you're It's only the kings and queens are called Majesty. Your Majesty. The princes and princesses are just princess and princesses. Just thought I'd get that out of the way because that was bothering me. So yeah, that storyline's over. Really doesn't matter. I don't care about Greer and Leith's relationship. Honestly, they've been dragging it out so much. I'm just sick of it, and I could do without it. Okay, and then basically another kind of not pointless, but real this storyline really isn't that big. Basically, Mary sends Kenna out to go find Bash to tell him about Francis' illness. Things go awry, and Kenna ends up wandering the forest by herself, and she happens to bump into a man who we will later find out is General Renard, and he decides he would escort her back to the castle, and then they're almost to the castle, and then Renard gets a note, and then Renard decides to hand her off to the guy who gave him the note to take her back to the castle, because he's not, now his mission that he was sent to the castle is now not a thing anymore. So yeah. that's all I can say about that. There's nothing really going on with that. But I have to say, obviously, if you've been watching my reviews from the beginning, you know I was never the biggest Kenna fan, and actually, I'm starting to like her these past few episodes. Like, she doesn't irritate me as much anymore, and like, that's good. That's good. Okay. And then another scene that other things that really don't matter. Just there's some Catherine and Narcisse scenes, and Catherine's obviously worried about Francis, and then she learns about Mary trying to get an army to Scotland. I'll talk more about that later. And she and Narcisse hatch up this plan, and really that's it. I don't have anything to say about that. Honestly, I can't stand Catherine and Narcisse as a couple. I hate it. I freaking hate it. This is probably the worst couple they ever put together for Reign. Other than the brief coupling of Francis and Lola. Honestly, even though I'm not like angry about that storyline anymore, I never accepted the fact that Francis and Lola had a baby together. I always thought that was like probably the worst storyline in the whole series. Even though I love Reign, there's many storylines I could do without. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Let's see. Okay, now here you go. Okay, now we get Bash and Sister Delphine. Yeah, he goes off. He's like wanting to go see. I don't know. He wants to go somewhere, find the man who put the sword through him, and you know. But he is healed now. Also, first of all, wait. Actually, I'll go in it. And then so Delphine warns him. I mean, tells him he shouldn't, obviously, because he's still healing, but, you know, Bash goes up anyways, and he finds that they're already about to hang the man who, put a sword through him. And also, first of all, the title of King's Deputy, that's literally the stupidest title that's the lamest title I ever heard of. I mean, I always thought that was a point, they could have picked another name, because I don't even know if they had, like, sheriffs and deputies and 1500 France. I mean, they probably had it they did have it in, like, England, but I don't know. I just never liked the name of that title. They could have come up with something better. But yeah, anyways, and then, but yeah, so the guy who stabs Bash was hung. Good riddance. The guy harmed Bash. Even though I don't care about Bash much as a character anymore, I'm still, you know, I still kind of care, but overall, Bash is one of my least favorite characters in the show. Like, honestly, characters I used to love in season 1, I'm done with as characters at the moment, because they're so boring and just. Before I get into the other things that happen, I'm just gonna say characters. The worst thing a character can be is boring. I mean, even if they're infuriating you with the acts, something they're doing, at least you're not bored by it. But at least they're doing something, you know. Even if you're not happy with them at the moment, it's better than them being boring and useless. I'd honestly rather see a character I love die than see them outlive their usefulness, you know? Like, I'd rather see a character die and, like, after they've had so much to do, than see a character alive and have nothing to do. And comment if you have that same feeling, because you know, so yeah. And then so getting back into the story, and then they're gonna hang another woman, a witch, and it's Clarissa. Ew. I was really dreading the return of Clarissa. I knew that, even though I didn't think it would happen, I still, in the back of my mind, knew that we had to see her again one day. And I was not, ew. I don't like Clarissa at all, and, I don't like looking at her. And also her acting, the actress's acting as Clarissa is god awful. It's bad. It's really bad. It's excruciating to sit through. And also, I don't like and I don't just like Clarissa just because she's gross to look at. It's not her fault. Things went wrong when they were trying to fix her face, and but it's really what the horrible thing she did. She killed Ailey. She kidnapped Charles and Henry and was about to freaking murder them just to pay her mother back. I don't know. I have felt no sympathy for her. I'm sorry. I really don't. I don't. So yeah, and then Bash finds out, and then so yeah, Bash basically, and he takes her back to Sister Delphine's, and then Bash goes to the castle to see Francis, and he learns about his illness, and then there's some bullshit scene between him and Mary. It's just like asking how Francis is, and like so yeah, they finally give us an actual Mary and Bash scene, and all it is about Francis, like. Ugh, I freaking hate that. Even though I don't care about Bash anymore, and I don't really care about Mary as much as I used. Actually, I never really liked Mary that much. I still want them to have a scene together because I always liked their scenes, and now it's like, ugh, I just. Mm. Even though I think season 2 is still much better than season 1, there's still things in season 1 that I like better than they in season 2, So yeah. So basically Bash goes back to Sister Delphine's and he realizes what he has to do and he gives Clarissa wine and Clarissa's so happy. It's like, all I've ever had is brown water the people offered me. In a way, I was like, I kind of felt a tiny bit bad for her at that moment because I knew it was poison. But so basically she's poisoned, and then Bash basically tells her he's saving Francis's life with her death, and Clarissa's dead. And honestly, I say good riddance. I never cared about Clarissa. I'm glad she's gone. Now I'm really glad I will never have to suffer through her horrible acting and her annoying, awful character. I freaking hated the character of Clarissa. I hated it. I never liked any of her scenes. And the act and the voice she talked in, I hated it. I just hate Clarissa. So yeah, Clarissa's dead. Yeah. So basically now, and of course, I don't really have much to say all about the Mary and Conde scenes this episode. Though at the end of the episode, you know, I'll talk more about that later. And basically, Mary's technically king of France. A little history lesson. There's like in France, I mean, even though I don't know much about French history as I do English history, I still know a few things. And there's like this law, ancient like Salic law that prevents a woman from inheriting the throne. And so basically, a woman, like a queen, there could never be a solo queen of France, like ruling in her own right. So, and Mary, well, she would have never been regent during Francis's illness. She was the queen. Like, they would have had someone else, heck, even Catherine, But, just saying. So, Mary would never have been, like, king of France while Francis was ill. So, yeah, they just did that bullshit for the show. And basically, and Mary finds out that Scotland is trouble. Oh my gosh, Scotland's in trouble. Oh, what are we gonna do? Oh, I don't know. There have been a lot of instances in this show throughout the series that Scotland has been in trouble. OMG, Mary's worried all of a sudden, and then she goes to someone for help, and they deny her. The pattern goes on, and it's getting old, and so yeah, basically Mary's trying to get an army because she's king of France and she has that power. And basically she commands Narcisse to send General Renaud's his army. I mean, it's General Renaud's army, but it's still Narcisse's. And yeah, she commands him to send the army, and that's what led to the Catherine Narcisse scene. I've already talked about it. And yeah, and honestly, Mary's like, she's basically like threatening Narcisse, and she brought up like, remember what happened to your son? And I was like, bitch, I freaking wanted to slap the shit out of Mary. Like, are you kidding me? That is so freaking low, Mary, even for you. So, yeah, I hate you, Mary, for doing that. That was freaking rude. And honestly, I still love Narcisse as a character. I've always loved him. Just the past few episodes, he was like, he was just he was just there, and it was unfortunate. But I love Narcisse again, and Mary I like less and less. And I don't think I ever liked her character that much. I tolerated her. Yeah. And now the main thing of the episode, the thing that's most important, Francis is ill, and I have to say, if you've been watching my reviews from the beginning when I started reviewing season 2, you know that I've had a lot of bad, nasty things to say about Francis, and I don't apologize for them, but I have been liking him these past few episodes. Now, yeah, I know, right? I'm liking characters I never thought I would like, and I'm really liking Francis. But then again, he's still not my favorite character, but I'm liking him a lot more than I used to. And honestly, if Francis doesn't die by the end of the season, I kind of won't mind because I'm actually liking him more. And my only problem is with people who love Francis. It's the same thing I have problem with people who love Daenerys and think she can do no wrong. Um, yeah, like every stupid thing Francis has done, and he's done some stupid things. All the characters have done stupid, awful things in this show. People make up excuses for it. That's a problem I have with them, and that's the same problem I have with people who overly praise Daenerys. That's my only thing. So yeah. So yeah, basically, Francis is ill. Mary feels bad, even though she's still banging Conde. And then Catherine gives her the speech. Basically, you harm my son, you f with my son, you f with me. And honestly, I don't care. I mean, that was a good speech, good motherly protective speech. That's really the only time I've been. I mean, honestly, Catherine is also becoming one of my least favorite characters. I just don't care. I'm starting to care less and less about these characters. And really, no, I'll say this for the end, but yeah. But that speech she gave, that was really good. And Mary, like, ugh, she deserved that. And even though I ship Mary and Conde, I don't like Mary. I do it because I love Conde. And he's the one of the few characters I'll actually defend on this show. Like, really. Though, and I will, even though I don't like Mary as a character, I will defend her for, like, the actions she makes regarding her love life, because she can do whatever the hell she wants, I think. But other than that, I don't defend Mary. But anyways, Francis wakes, and that happens after Clarissa's death, and I was actually really happy, and yeah, I've already said, I really have been liking Francis these past episodes, and I'm happy he's awake. And Francis and Catherine's like, I know what you did, what you're doing, and I told Francis, like, rubbing it in her face, and basically Francis tells Mary and Catherine that he's sending 2,000 French troops to Scotland. Like, 2,000 troops will do anything. Maybe add another 0, and maybe things could be done. But 2,000 troops I don't think that's enough. But still, that's still good. Like, it'll still do something, but it won't fix her problems. And yeah. And then Francis speaks privately with Mary, and I'm so proud of him. Francis is finally sticking it to Mary, and he's finally doing something from himself, and like, you know what? He's like, fine, leave. And he's like, this close encounter with death has made me want to live my life the way I want to. And if you want to leave France, you can do it. If you want. Just don't expect a farewell from me. And I'm like, good job, Francis. Like, that's my problem with Francis this season. He was always doing stuff. Oh, I'm doing this to protect you, Mary. And I was like getting sick of it. Like, that's a weak excuse for all the stupid shit you're doing. Like, I'm doing this to protect Mary. Like that, and like that was stupid stuff, and that prevented him from being a good king. And now he's finally doing something for himself. Finally, Francis, you grew a pair, and you're finally doing something selfish. And I'm like, I'm happy for Francis. I hope he can be happy. Hopefully he can finally, before he dies, do something good as a king. And let it be known that just because he's feeding the peasants extra food at holiday time, that doesn't make him a good king. I mean, if you have the love of your, like, peasants as a king, that's good, but it's more, you need more than love to be a good king. So, but anyways, so yeah, finally, Francis did something selfish for once for himself, and good job, Francis. I'm happy for you. And then basically the last scene is Mary basically telling Conde that they can't go to Scotland. She doesn't necessarily break up with him. Like, Prairie Shippers, like, for the past couple of days, or like yesterday they were like, Mary and Conde are done. I don't know, people were like, some people were happy that they thought Mary and Conde were done. But Mary and Conde, obviously, they're not done, if you've seen the promo. So they're not taking a break. She just said she can't go to Scotland. So yeah. And Conde has a temper tantrum, and like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. I mean, I still love Conde, but that's not consistent with his character. I don't think, of the fits of anger. I mean, he almost punched that guy once in like episode 5 of season 2, but yeah, that's nothing compared to that anger. But I hope that anger doesn't flare up again, and because, you know. So yeah. So yeah. Overall, this was a good episode. I'd probably give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I don't usually rate episodes by episode. I'll probably rate the season, but after a hiatus, I thought I would rate this episode. So yeah, pretty good, an enjoyable episode. Could have been better. Looking forward to next week's episode. But honestly, I'm already thinking I'm gonna do things differently during season 2. Not season 2, season 3. Like, one of the few reasons I'm sticking around for season 3 is to see Elizabeth, and Elizabeth I. She's like one of my favorite historical figures ever, and I'm basically sticking around for her. So yeah, and I already know I'm probably gonna make a video talking about my plans on what I'm gonna do during season 3 of Reign, like after season 2 ends. But yeah. So those are my thoughts on this episode. It was a good episode. Tell me your thoughts. What do you think of this episode? What do you think is gonna happen next? And yeah, 4 more episodes, and then season 2 is over. And this has been it's been an interesting ride, reviewing this season and being really involved in the fandom. And trust me, I have a lot to say about that, but I'm gonna save it for after season 2 ends. So yeah, I will see you guys in my next review, which will be for Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I'm so dreading this movie, but I love movies, and I love reviewing movies, and I love reviewing bad movies. So yeah, I'm ready to tear that movie to shreds. So yeah, I will see you guys later. Bye.